Hey, Fanboy Nation.
This is your pal Daffy Duck, and you're watching.
We're watching Fanboy.
A fanboy, etc.
Fanboy Nation.
Dot, I assume Tom.
If I mispronounce this name, forgive me. I'm not very good with Chilean Spanish last names. But Marko Zaror, how are you today?
Hey, what's up? Very good, actually.
All right, so I'm happy with that. I got your name pronounced correctly. Today we are talking about Fist of the Condor. Congratulations on this film.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it.
You know, this is a Spanish language martial arts Western that takes place in South America.
Yes.
Okay, so this is the best way I can explain it. You know, every nationality has its own style of martial arts. This isn't just some mystical East Asian aspect. Like here in the United States, you know, the Aztecs had their knife style of fighting. And then in Greece, it was pancrase that began it all, and so on and so forth. What was the message? Excuse me, not the message, but what was it like when you were presented this story of not only is it going to be a martial arts film, which you have an extensive background in, but this is going to be an indigenous style of martial arts to Latin America?
Well, the thing is that this movie started the other way around, because it started from a personal need of making a movie that is honest to my journey as a martial artist with my partner Ernesto Díaz, that is the director of my previous films. And when we were in the middle of quarantine, we were like, okay, if this is the end of the world, what's the movie that we will love people remember us? And in terms of me as a martial artist, it's like I wanted to express and put together everything that in a way inspired me to become a martial artist in Latin America, to kind of do like this love letter to the genre, to martial art films that inspire the Latinos to do martial arts. Because in Latin America, there's no story or backstory of crazy martial art films or actually styles, right? So, but there's a lot of martial artists. There's a lot of people that love this. And so I'm kind of one of them, right? So I grew up watching these movies in video, in VHS, you know, and everything that I've learned about their culture and their training and everything was through the movies. There was no YouTube, there's no internet, right? So I was like, if I was 15 years old right now, what's the movie that I would love to see from Marko, right? So then, okay, so that's we try to do something as very honest, because we were like, okay, well, this is it. You know, the COVID thing was kind of strong. We didn't know that the movie. In one moment we thought movie industry is done, right? So we were like, okay, let's do it. And we didn't know at the beginning if we want to do like a series or like things to put it in online. We didn't know. We wanted to tell this story. So for me, I gave all my notes to Ernesto, like my nutrition notes journey, my training journey, the different movements and styles that I've been going through to kind of create this way of training that I have today, right? The way that I move and all that. And Ernesto did a very cool thing that studied all the genre films, and then he put all that notes together into the story of this ancestral book, that the Fist of the Condor. And then the condor is our animal. It's like it's a Chilean animal that is in our flag. So that's why I start experimenting and I add all the the positions with the using the wind, the powerful of the wind, and that's why there's a lot of scenes where I'm like going with the wind and learning how to use the wind. And so I don't know, it's like for me it was just trying to be a very honest movie that it's totally from Latin America with love to the Asian films, you know.
You know what a lot of people forget is that with Latin America itself, it's very heterogeneous. So many people migrate to Latin America from all over the world.
Exactly.
You know, a lot of Japanese went to Brazil, and that's how we got Brazilian jiu-jitsu from Japanese jiu-jitsu and judo. And then, you know, a lot of Middle Eastern people have gone to Argentina and Venezuela, and then, you know, Germanic people went there, and so on and so forth. So people forget that it's not just indigenous and Spanish that's over in South America. It's a mix of all these other cultures that came in. And what you were able to do with this film was, you know, Shaw Brothers style kung fu movie with a Spanish storytelling that's so localized to Chile that it made it an international film, even though it's a local story.
Yes. Thank you, man. I really appreciate it. But because it was, you know, we just tried to do something very honest and like with passion. We didn't calculate anything. We just wanted to express as much as we can all our process, all our love to these genre films, and all this, like I put, you know, these notes about my nutrition. Like when I talk about voltage and I talk about the cell, the membrane, that's something that I've studied and it's in my notes, and that's the way I eat, right? The same thing with the elastic bands, the training, the animal mobility, all those movements. This is what I've been doing lately, and I've been incorporating them in the last couple of years to my training. So I use all that to kind of create this Fist of the Condor style, or you know. So it comes from a very honest place, you know, and it turns out to be like this movie where people are really responding very nice to it. I'm very happy, you know.
How do you remove the pressure from yourself? Because this is a love letter to Chile. This is a love letter to Hong Kong. This is a love letter to various forms of martial arts, and creating this story as well. That how do you remove the pressure from yourself of making the perfect movie, because you want to do each culture so much justice that you're almost scared to ruin it if you make a mistake? Like, how do you take that pressure from yourself and just make a good movie and allow yourself to be?
It's the same word, just stay honest to the process, and try to, you know, express at least my journey, you know, as a martial artist, as the most honest journey, and put it in front of there without hesitation, without trying to calculate, oh, you know what, but this maybe I should not do because maybe I'm gonna offend these other people. No, you know, like when I grabbed the wooden dummy, you know, and I just change it to my own wooden dummy, you know, I could have, I could have think, oh, but what they're gonna say? Like, this is not the traditional wooden dummy. Yeah, but you know what? You know, this is part of my journey. Like, I study MMA, and I have these different movements and blocks, and you know, because of my side, I'm like I'm 6'2", 210. You know, I need it, and I've done boxing, and I've done like MMA, right? So you have these overhands, and you have some attacks though you have this block that is very effective. You know, when they come on here high, you just raise here, and this is a very good shield, and it's very effective. And then so I create these wooden dummies where I can practice this type of blocks. So it comes from a very honest place. I'm not trying to mimic, or I'm not trying to, but it's inspired in the wooden dummy. So that's totally there, you see. So that's a little detail of an example of how we approach this movie, you know.
And it's also beautifully shot. You have the natural light when you're outdoors, and just the aspect of people searching for this lost book and this hidden knowledge that you know has been lost to the world, and trying to recover it for either personal gain or for financial gain, or everything that goes along with it. You know, how significant was that to the story? Because that almost gives it like an Indiana Jones aspect to it of archaeology.
Oh yeah, well, of course. It's like that's why we are so excited, because I do want to continue telling this story, and I want to explore more into that, understanding this. We were shooting this in the middle of COVID, and it was tough, and so I feel that there's so much part of the story that needs to be told, and especially about the two brothers, that we would love to continue. That's why I really appreciate the support and the people to get the DVD, get the Blu-ray, and support the film, so we can continue bringing more episodes to this, and telling more about the story about this.
I have to make mention before I forget, and this is slightly off topic, and I'm sorry for this. You have a birthday coming up in a couple of weeks. Mine was last week, and I think you and Ernesto share a birthday, correct?
Yes.
How, people that like to study astrology like to make a big deal about people's birthdays. Is it almost more fun to work with somebody that shares your birthday and is also Chilean, so you have the cultural background as well to help you not only keep you honest, but keep the cinematography fun?
Well, yeah, no, of course, with Ernesto we're very good friends. He's like my brother, and it's crazy that we actually do have the same birthday. It's crazy, it's like, and yeah, man, we're like, we share this passion, and we've been doing this for so many years. So I don't know, man. I'm lucky to have a friend like him, so passionate and so good at what he does. He helps me to put on camera my journey too. It's like, maybe without him it will not be so easy for me to communicate, to express myself through the movie making, because he does that. He's the writer and he's the director, and I bring my journey and my knowledge as a martial artist. So we combine to do these movies, so it's pretty cool, man.
Recently you were also in John Wick 4 as Chidi, but you were also in a Hindu film a few years ago called Sultan, and now this is a Latin American film. Cinema internationally is basically what mathematics is to the world. It's a universal language at this point, but there's still some differences in the way things are made. What's it like making an Indian film in India, and then an American film like John Wick, and then a Chilean film like Fist of the Condor?
Well, you just said it. Like, you know what? Basically, the language of filmmaking is universal. Like, for example, in Bollywood, I didn't know what was going on set, because I didn't understand anything. Well, I didn't know what they were saying, but I knew what was going on. I knew what was the PA, the first AD, the director, the DP. So you kind of understand what's going on without understanding the language, because they're doing movies, we're making movies, So at the end, that is a world universal language. Like, even though you're doing a low budget movie or big budget movie, it's just there's more toys, there's more camera grips, there's more people, but at the same time, the codes are the same. Ready, action. You perform, you got the camera capture, you got it or you don't get it. Again, boom, reset, whatever. Instead of resetting 20 cars or whatever, then you're just resetting back to one, you're back to fight stance, action, bah, 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 bah. Cut, okay, back to action. In the big movie, it's like back to one, and then there's a lot of things happening before you go back. So it just, but the process is very similar, right?
Marko, with this movie, and as beautiful as it is, there has to be a scene that you were filming at one point where you thought this might not work so well on camera as well as we thought it'd work on paper, and then when you see the final edit, it's even more spectacular than you had hoped for. Is there a scene like that in this movie?
One of the challenges in Fist of the Condor was the fight with Eyal and the master Man Soo Yoon, because of course he's like 100 years old. He's a real master, but because of we didn't know how it was gonna go, right? But we're pretty happy how the result though. It totally it came out pretty good, actually. I really like it. But at the beginning, before we were shooting, when we had it on the script, we were like, man, how are we gonna make this fight scene? You know, it's gonna be tough. And then it turned out to be pretty cool. That was a big challenge, you know.
You know, what's interesting, you know, you mentioned you're a taller fighter, and then Tony Jaa, who is of smaller stature, but he's an incredible Muay Thai fighter and ballet dancer, I believe. You know, when you put the contrast in size coming in, you know, is there difficulty shooting with a smaller performer?
Well, no, because actually you just adapt the choreography, you know, like when you're fighting with a smaller actor, then of course you need the choreography might change, you know, but you know, it depends. If I'm the villain, it's perfect. But when I'm the main the lead guy in the story, and then to find, you know, the villain, it's hard because I need to find someone my size that could deliver the action is very tough. And I was lucky to have Eyal on my side because he's a very good actor, but he is a master in karate. So we were able to, after some work, you know, make his style and his martial arts work on the fight scene. So that was pretty cool. But it's not easy for me to find villains or to find people to fight with, you know.
You know, overall, the response has been quite good for the Fist of the Condor. But when you take the movie internationally, although, you know, movie making's movie making, you know, different audiences get different messages from the story. You know, what's something that you've seen from a Chilean audience versus the audience in Hong Kong who would respond differently, or here in the United States?
More than in different countries, I will say the niche and the fans. You know, like worldwide, you have a universal language that is martial art movies, and people that love martial arts movies, they love Fist of the Condor, right? Sometimes you got people that they've never seen a martial art movies, and they see Fist of the Condor and they might not get it, they don't understand or whatever. But you know, it's like, you know, this movie, we did it for our people, for the people that enjoy these movies. You know, I wanted to stay honest and to that, you know, like this is the movie that I want to see. And I remember when I was a kid and I was watching these movies, and a lot of people are like, man, this movie is boring. And I'm like, man, what are you talking about? Like, you know, I could see like Enter the Dragon one after, like, I could see Enter the Dragon and then see it again and again, and it's more fun to watch any other movie for me, you know. So it's the same with Armor of God of Jackie Chan. Like I remember, like what it's like some people they cannot even watch those films, you know. But I don't care because there's films for everybody, you know. And this movie is for that people, and I'm sure that people will enjoy this movie, you know. I don't. It's all good.
You know, as things become more globalized and we watch films not just with subtitles or with dubbing, but stories from all over the world, you know, is it more important? You know, everyone talks about representation in that regard, but how exciting is it for you, having made the movie that you wanted to see at 15, to now talk to somebody who's 15 that doesn't necessarily see themselves in this film, in films, can now go, oh my God, I have an action hero now?
Yeah, that's pretty cool. You know, it's like, because I've started my journey because of inspiration. You know, Bruce Lee inspired my life, and I started this journey when I was very young. And it kind of like, he helped me find the purpose of my life, you know. It's very powerful. And I thank him for that, you know. And making a movie like this and being honest of making a movie like this without compromising, it's a way of paying back to him. It's a way of saying, hey man, this is your work, you see. because this is because of how you inspire me. And then maybe a kid is going to watch this movie, and I get the comments like when I start my career and I did Kiltro, a lot of people like now after 20 years, they said, man, I started martial arts 20 years ago because I saw Kiltro. And that's kind of a way of like saying, go, thank you, man. This is for you. It's like your work, it continues, you see?
Yeah. Marko, one thing, I'm going to have to get on your diet because you look absolutely incredible. So you're going to have to teach me how to eat properly at this point.
Yeah, it's not that complicated, man. It's just, it's a big commitment, but it's not that hard, man. It's just eating real foods,
And sleep. That's the one thing that I lack more than anything is sleep.
Yeah, but important is to move and eat real food, nutrient dense real food.
Yeah, Marko, I do have to ask before I let you go, two things. One, where can we find you on social media if we want to connect with you? And secondly, it's Tuesday, May 23rd, when The Fist of the Condor comes out on digital, Blu-ray, and DVD. Why do we got to sit there Tuesday afternoon and go, this is the movie I need to watch?
Yes, because you're going to see a very unique movie and a very honest movie that represents a journey from a real martial artist from Latin America that dedicate this love letter to all Kung Fu cinema. And if you love Kung Fu cinema, I'm sure you're gonna appreciate it.
And where can we find you on social media, Marko?
Social media, well, I got a one account in Instagram, is Marko Zaror, my name. I'm with Blue whatever, so don't get mixed up with some fake accounts because it's crazy, man. They're doing this. Like they have these fake accounts and they're asking money to people. It's like very, very careful. So be careful with social media. I got only one account that is in IG, that it's Marko Zaror, and one in Facebook that is Marko Zaror Official. Those are the two social medias that I have.
Beautiful. Marko Zaror, it's been a great pleasure chatting with you. The Fist of the Condor, digital, Blu-ray, DVD, Tuesday, May 23rd. This is an international film. This is a local film. This is a martial arts film, an action film, an archaeology film. There's so much going on in here that you don't want to miss, that you'll have to watch it more than once. Thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it.